What we've launched is a green paper on proposals for adults and communities in the light of serious reductions in council budgets that are going to come from 2014, 15 and beyond. So what we've started is a process of thinking about how we manage further reductions in budgets over the next 3 years. And it's a discussion paper about some of the issues that are critical to managing that budget. So, using a process of review, we've been looking at the spend in Birmingham on residential care. We spend half our budget on younger adults and residential care. Other councils are spending less. So part of our dialogue is, how do we reduce that spend on residential care? We should spend something on those who really need residential care, but what could we do differently and change the way in which we use those resources to improve people's life, not just a care service? And it raises those kind of questions and begins that process of dialogue.
We are looking at this on a number of timelines. There's the things that we have to do this financial year to bring in a balanced budget. There are the system changes that we think can be made in the medium term, and I'm talking about 2 to 5 years, principally as a consequence of the new health and wellbeing board arrangements, barely 3 months old in Birmingham, where we will be working in much closer partnership with clinical commissioning groups, GPs who've got new responsibility for buying things in the health service, and we'll be looking at the flow through the system because we've got a high residential care cost, we've got a high hospitalisation cost, and then something that's a real challenge for us because it should be entirely preventable is readmission to hospital. We know every readmission to hospital is something that is both expensive and an implicit failure of the services to have behaved in a properly coordinated way. And then the final tranche is what it is that we can achieve for the longer term, and I'm talking about our public health resource. Public home has come back to local government after a 30-year absence. We are committed to transforming the public health function for Birmingham. There's a sizable amount of money, £74 million. That's a lot of public money for a place like Birmingham. But we need to make that money spend in a way that delivers transformational change. So ultimately, through things like smoking cessation, through things like physical activity, through things like changing the way in which people use alcohol, we get older people who are arriving in later life in fundamentally better shape than they currently are, as well as promoting longer lives of economic activity. It's not just about people becoming disabled in older life, it's about their ability to participate in the workplace in their late middle age. And the public health agenda is about increasing the net economic prosperity of the city by having people just fundamentally fitter and able to play a part in the life of the city.
When we started this process 3 years ago, there was some national thinking about investment in prevention, investment in enablement. And we've been doing that alongside many other councils and leading the way in managing very substantial reductions in adult care. Nationally, they've totalled just under £3 billion over the last 3 years. And that has probably gone in a way that's taught us some things that are really useful about the sort of services we would like, in a way that informs the future. But now what we face is a further phase of reductions. And yes, we're preparing for that, knowing that we face particularly difficult circumstances here in Birmingham. But also, how do we actually make the best use of resources with the NHS and the others? So we've got some experience from what we've done. We've got some examples from across the country of the work, but it remains unprecedented and difficult. And that's why a dialogue process is so critical for this, because nobody can pretend that they've got the defined answer of the way it can be. These are difficult, challenging questions that we're all going to have to face and work our way through. And the dialogue process is about a way of doing that jointly with people and with communities, so we come to some sensible, good solutions about how we don't lower our ambitions to provide dignified and safe care, but do that in a way that works with the resources that we have in the future.